There's everything you need to know about life in the Bible. It really is. You're not the first one that was married. You're not the first one that got children. You're not the first one that have grandparents. You're not the first one that married into a different culture. You're not. But if you make Christ the center, when you go into those things, you have to toss away your traditions and cultures that were man-made and focus on, would God approve of the solution that you're trying to implement in this particular situation? You know? And so because of that, the family, they start seeing that unity and they will stay away from it. If someone calls my husband in the beginning to gossip, my husband doesn't go anywhere. Okay, I'm the one that would hop in the car and go and say, I saw your husband somewhere, or he used to date this. He will say, thank you very much. And my wife comes, we'll pray about it, and I'll let you know how it turns out.
It's good.
That's it. You know, so because they know that we don't get those kinds of issues, we don't have those kinds of calls. We don't. Because he would always consult me. Yeah. But the moment you give the inclination that you can do something outside of that marriage or outside of your spouse, without them knowing, you start running into trouble. Finances is the same thing. We have a culture where people think that we're on the money tree. We just sit up money and just toss it out. Okay. He's from a family of, it's 8 of them. Oh. And he has 23 the last time I counted, nieces and nephews. But he is more into education. If it's education that you need, 100%. So what we do with the finances, and I don't have that much of a big family that have too many demands. And when your finances in a marriage start being impacted by other people's demands, start having problems. So how do we resolve that? We resolve that by having because I was also in corporate, he's also in corporate. Your salary, you have to get an agreement on how you're going to treat your salary. If you say, for example, 80% of the salary, you have to use percentage, don't use numbers. 80% of the salary is going to the running of the home, and 20% will go into external family members. So regardless of who calls him, as long as it doesn't impact the family budget, don't worry about it. You should not care whether he's taking care of that niece that has betrayed him 50 times or not. It's not impacting the home. So the moment you start impacting the home from external influences, you start having problems. But you should have that freedom and that wiggle room to work with your family and do as you please.
Yeah. And from go on, Lucia.
Go ahead. I'll ask the question later.
From what I hear is you have to get to a point where the family has to know that each side of the family have to know that the person that is coming into our family or our child is bringing into the family is going to get our back, because that is what I hear from what you're saying. So even though at the start they probably didn't know you, they haven't understood who you are or your qualities or your values, but at the end, knowing who you are and the support that you get from your husband helps make that transition, or helps make that platform more inviting.
Exactly.
And levels the playing field, make it okay for everybody to play. And it's not gonna be playtime every time, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be playtime. I like that. Go on, Lucia.
So bringing it back to the two different cultures. We have the side that we've been talking about, but when you then started having children, and it might vary from one couple to another, how did you, or was it important for the two of you to sort of, instill or share the both cultures with your children, was that important? Because for some people it might not have been important. They just developed their own culture. But since you're coming from two distinct cultures, was that important to the two of you for your kids as they grew up? I'm asking that because we have, even outside of the African culture, there's intermarriage all over the place now, right? And so some people struggle with that.
I think in my case, because we are global starters, my kids are very international. They travel a lot. So when we ask about culture, we always say we are global citizen. And we're not just taking the Sierra Leone culture or the Duala culture per se, is what works best for our family. And in my home, because my family members are more overwhelming than my husband's, my family is quite large in the Washington metro area. My kids now have tend to gravitate towards the Sierra Leone culture. And even though my husband is French, they don't speak French, but they speak and understand Creole, for example. And the reason being, my husband also speaks and understands Creole. And and when he travels, he goes to Sierra Leone. He has projects in Sierra Leone. So it's not we're suppressing the Duala culture. Is what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
Is what they're exposed to. So he tends not to say, well, you have to do this because this is how the Cameroonians do it. No. It's what the kids are exposed to and what they want to adopt. Yeah. And that's what they're going to adopt. Mm-hmm. You know, and they're American kids, and now they're going to African. They have this African thing going on now. Everyone wants to do Africa.
That's why I'm asking the question.
They all want to do Africa.
They grow up and then they want to go back to their roots.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. They want to go back to their. They do have cousins that are Dualas, and the cousins that are Dualas, they are not speaking French, and they are not speaking Duala, and surprisingly, they are speaking broken English. I was asking my daughter, I said, why are you speaking broken English to Soraya? She said, Ma, when we go to school, the Spanish are speaking Spanish, and that's the only language we can speak amongst ourselves that we understand.
Oh.
When you go, exactly, in the communities now, the African children, they're all speaking broken English amongst themselves. The Sierra Leoneans, the Ghanaians, so the culture is just it's a melting pot.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. You know, we're planning on going to a family reunion in December in Sierra Leone, where God willing, we all will be going. The kids they're talking about all the food they're going to be eating and stuff like that. So the children in America, I don't think the culture would really matters. It's what they feel comfortable in. It's what they gravitate towards.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very eye-opening. So, bringing it to wrapping it up, what would be your last word to somebody right now that is having issues with in-laws, with family, with extended family? Since we're talking about different cultures, somebody that is just can't get themselves to be in unity, what will your advice be to them in just making the marriage successful?
The first thing you need to do is communication is key. You two are the ones that got married.
Yeah.
And most people tell you, when you get married, now you're my son, you're my daughter, you're married to the families and all of that. You have to step out of that for a minute, because at the end of the day, it's the two of you.
Yeah,
the two of you will make or break your marriage. Okay. And we always tend to find a scapegoat or an excuse. And I say that in love, because at the end of the day, when you talk to folks or you counsel folks to find out what is the core thing that triggered that issue, is misunderstanding. If you ever watch, there's a show that used to come on TV, Three's Company.
Yeah.
You know, Three's Company, they always have issues. Right, Lucy, am I right?
Yeah.
Because of miscommunication, a misunderstanding. Okay? And you always have to have that listening ear to go to your spouse and say, honey, just listen to what I'm saying. If you don't have that, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you don't have that. And prayer works. You will have to be praying together. That's some time when you're going to pray together. This is what I do. And I tell that to young married couple. I said, when your husband really piss you off, excuse my French, what you do is when you get on your knees next to him, you tell the Lord what he did. So when he's praying, because that is the most vulnerable state you can get a man.
Right.
Okay. So when Auntie such and such came in and he has done something that upsets you, wait until you get into prayer. When you go into prayer and you're kneeling down, you say something like, Lord, I did not like when Joseph told me that I had to do that. Now the man is in the most vulnerable state. He's not going to shut you down. He is not going to shut you down and say, what are you telling the Lord? We're both talking to daddy, right? We're both his children, right? So you get on your knees and you just say, I did not like what he did yesterday, daddy. And I told him that I wanted a $200 shoe and he said that he didn't have any money. But then when his cousin came on and you tell the Lord how you feel and don't let the sun go down. Okay. And I say that even before I became as spiritually mature as I am now, prayer was working because he was praying for me. So a lot of things that he was, one of you have to pull the other up.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing that, when the darts are coming, you already have the shield. You know, it's just going to bounce back. And people will see that. People know, because, you know, the devil is working and he knows exactly what's going on in your marriage.
Yep.
And he's going to set up the enemies because he has an army of his own. But if the two of you are in sync, regardless, and when we go back, even with the gossip, thank you very much. When my wife comes, I will let her know what you said and maybe we can come to agreement about what you're saying. They will not come back. They will not come back. It's useless. They will not come back.
No.
So that person that's going to come and bring food to your husband because you for somehow don't know how to cook it authentically, they're not going to do that because I'm now either going to throw it in the trash or we're not just going to eat it. Because the wife you got to check it out. You know, so you have to always go back to your spouse. Your spouse have to have that listening ear. Important.
That is good. That's some serious advice there.
Very good.
Yeah. That's some serious...
I grew up in a mixed culture family. It was my dad who taught my mom how to cook the Sierra Leonean food.
Wow.
Because it became too much, so he just decided to teach her. And then she ended up knowing really how to cook it so well because she would get flack from people all the time. And she was disowned by her own family because she married out of
the
her
culture.
own culture. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And at that time, they, on my father's side, also were like, why are you getting married outside of your culture? Yeah. But I mean, I think it goes back to no matter what the circumstances are, what you just said is one, the communication, and two, Christ as the center. And if the two of you have made that decision together, then everything else outside, I mean, no one else has nothing else to say, right?
Yeah.
Because the two of you have made that agreement. My grandma always used to say, Lucia, what you can Finish, don't start.
Don't start. Exactly.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sybella.
You're quite welcome.
This has been good. It has been really refreshing. And I pray God bless your home, God bless your family, God bless your children, and all that you put your hands to do prosper and grow, and you continue to be that impact to your community and to the people that are looking up to you, and continue to be you and just be a blessing.
Thank you for inviting me.
So much.
You know, and I hope this will bless someone
Yes.
and also bless their marriage.
Yes, I believe it will. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right.
Good night. Yep.
Good night. Okay.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for a fresh new episode.
Reminder, you have what it takes. You just have to say it. Be a student. Only you can do what you're created to do. Visit our website www.sistersletstalk.com. That is www.sistersletstalk.com. Ask a question, leave a comment, or let us know how you're holding up. Subscribe to Sisters Let's Talk wherever you listen to podcasts. We want you to be the first to know when another episode is ready. One tiny favor, sis. Let's invite other sisters to the lounge.